Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Growing Up Alien. Tonight, I'm going to be doing kind of a more scholarly topic with Farsight, so I figured I should look professorial. That's actually my day job. Um, I have a degree in Irish studies, but I teach English departments. So try teaching disclosure. Actually, I did it for 3 semesters. I tried teaching it for 3 semesters, but the students just couldn't grasp it. They were too drunk on the Kool Aid from the deep state, sadly. So anyway, the Farsight just posted a video, I think is rather intriguing. It's a remote view of what might be happening. So I'm going to do a screen share, just like a class, like I used to do in a bit. Because this morning I got some information. Now, like I always tell people, I take everything with a grain of salt. Take things with a grain of salt. Is this just a timeline? What does all this mean? I don't really know. So I was given information this morning that the fact that the majority of people are not waking up, they're not getting this, they're not understanding the severity of the situation that we're in. So stuff's going to have to start kind of coming down, I think. So anyway, first thing I'm going to do is try to screen share this so we can show you what Louise and I captured. Let's share video. Okay. So I'm going to play this. So Louise and I worked with her cell phone. It's really strange sometimes when we're doing a chat, we're just chatting, and then all of a sudden her cell phone, like out of the blue, will start sending out these frequencies and it seems to interact with us. So we're going to play with it a little bit more. We played with it a few times already because I was like, wait a minute, look at your phone. What's it doing? So we're like, we asked the phone, several questions, but one of the questions we asked was, when is stuff kind of going to start to happen? And we say, is it 2025? And it was like, nah, no. And so we're like, I said, is it 2024? And it said, yeah. So we're 2024. I mean, 1 month left basically. So yeah, maybe stuff's going to start rocking and rolling. And I'll put a link to the Farsight remote view in the description section so you can go and watch that whole thing. But it really kind of blew my mind when I was watching it because I'm like, wow, that's a lot of the information that I have. Again, so here we go. Play the video with Louise. Let's just start. Turn up the
Will we
volume.
get contact in 2025?
2024.
Will we get contact in 2024?
2020.
Or the little one?
A little one. A little bit, he says, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
the end of 2024, December. So just why we have these two kind of flower of life things there. So there's a picture of a child that we want to hide on her cell phone. So we didn't realize that this would be so pivotal when we did this, and then Louise took the picture of the child off. So that's why they're there. It's not ridiculous. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it looks like when we asked the cell phone who we were talking to, and I did that in a separate video. It's they said it's the nine. I've talked to the nine before. I've actually gone up to the void in a very, very bizarre experience. Yeah, I ended up passing out and waking. It was like crazy. Half an hour disappears, and I wake up and where the hell am I? It was just amazing. I maybe talk about that in a separate video. It was pretty wild. So uh, that's what they said. Contact 2024. So
Some.
yeah,
Will we get full contact by 2026?
yeah,
Yeah, it's a gradual thing coming in.
yeah. Wow, that's nice.
With the collective deep mind probe,
So now we're gonna shift into the far side remote view. So what it looks like is going to happen is there's going to be some explosions or what have you, bomb type things like from the sky, missiles, whatever. I don't know what. What I got this morning was that they're going to really have to disrupt That's the biggest problem. It's people asking, oh, catastrophic disclosure. It has to be catastrophic. It's just because people are not budging. They're like I said before, they're just not taking any of this seriously. Everybody wants the status quo. You can't have the status quo. You guys are living in a prison planet. You're under, I mean, I and you know, of course I'm preaching to the choir because people watching this, you guys understand. It's like, but your average person just doesn't get it. It's not a matter of like, you just can't, guys, you can't keep the status quo. Number one, the status quo is terrible. Number two, it's going to get much worse. And I can't tell you how dangerous and what the deep state's plans are for this planet. It's just insane. So something's going to have to really rock the boat of your average person because so many people are, I don't, and I believe for me personally, I'm just going to try, I think it's just a toxic combination for these people where it's like, they, you have the fluoride in the water, you have all the poisons in the food, you have a lot of people not eating the right kinds of foods, they're not getting the right kind of nutrition because they're eating processed foods, like all the bad stuff, and I just think they're drunk on the Kool Aid that's been fed to them, and they just believe, they believe the news, they believe the media, they believe their government. It's like, yeah. And I think it's part of it has to do with the worship gene and you've probably met people like this where they can't think for themselves, where they have to have some kind of a expert person, celebrity, government official, authority figure, whatever, tell them what to do. And even if that authority figure makes absolutely no sense, I mean, for a great example, I mean, if we think about, education science class where they're telling everybody like, this primordial, bacteria turned into an elephant. I mean, come on, that's not how that works. That's not any extraterrestrial that, civilization will tell you an elephant's going to be an elephant forever, unless you really, excuse my Gaelic, fuck around with the DNA and turn it into something a little different. That takes quite a bit of skill. An elephant by itself is never going to turn into a whale or something. It's like, and people believe this kind of stuff. You got people who still believe that the Terra Earth is the only habited planet. It's like, come on, folks, how can that even possibly happen? You seriously just think in the universe there's only one planet that just happened to develop complex life forms? I mean, you got to be smoking something. Or you got to be either 2 years old or smoke it. There's no way anybody with a fully functioning prefrontal cortex or humanoid brain system can actually believe that. It's bizarre. So I'm going to play some of this now. Some of these clips from Farsight, and you can hear what they have to say.
Felt that there is this sense of attention to the skies, and I see this object or a projectile that descends down into their urban area around them, and it causes this energetics to sort of erupt in the environment.
So what's being remote viewed here is that it looks like some kind of a missile or bomb, some kind of thing like that, is going to land into city structures, which would be, pretty catastrophic. But it's probably, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how it's going to roll out, but it'll definitely wake up your average Joe.
Now, I get this visual that comes in of this non-surface object descending into the sky, descending out of the sky, sorry, and just this eruption of energetics that results from the impact into the base surface. And this base surface is full of structures. Now, I don't know if this is visually actually happening, or if this is just something that's happening during the collective deep mind probe in their minds, because this is a focus of theirs. But I saw this visual, I have to report it. Basically, the subjects inside of the structure with the big windows, they're right near this explosive energetics, and a huge gust of energetics and particles in the air flood the room.
So what he's talking about there in that drawing, what was remote viewed was there was a military command center type place where we don't know. That's not, it's kind of impossible to figure that out in the remote view. But there were a bunch of military officials there at sort of a discussion table, and they were having conversations concerning this Either it has happened or it's going to happen. These missiles, explosions, whatever they are, and this one missile strikes very close to where this um, command center is and kind of takes it out.
And destructive energetics flood the room, and it knocks everybody over. It completely trashes the indoor of this environment. People are being of these three subjects. They're all sort of just being ragdolled out of this environment.
All right.
So that was one clip that I put there. What I got this morning, like I said, use your discernment. I use my discernment. I'm just revealing information to you. That's all, right? Whether it's going to happen or not, I can't tell you that. No one, and that's the thing, really, very few people can tell you that something is actually going to happen. And that's one mention that the Farsight often will do. They're like, look, this is a remote view. Whether it happens or not, time will tell. But just so you have this information in front of you, maybe some of you are also getting similar information. Maybe you're getting different information. Definitely share that with us. We want you on the show to give this information. And if you comment to me or write to me on my Facebook link, definitely I will get back to you. I will definitely get back to you. I know. Like, isn't that, it's so irritating. You write to people and never get back to you. I can't stand that. So I wouldn't do that to you. We will definitely get back to you and we want you on the show. So what I also was given as information this morning was that you're going to see, I know, like I said, possibly, right now I'm going to say you're going to see, it is possible that the white hats, so the ET white hat military in the United States. Now, I don't know. I mean, it's very possible that the alliance military is actually global. So there may be other countries involved as well. But this is going to happen in the United States, that the White Hat Alliance is going to strike militarily and openly deep state hangouts, basically. So they're going to start, and again, this is what the extraterrestrials want. This is what I heard, that they are going to hand over the military work to the Terran military. So it is the alliance heavily what do you say this? Directed by the ET militaries, federations, galactic federations, different federations that have plans in place to get this to roll out. They are giving these plans. I feel like these plans, there's a plan that's set, but they have to shift the plan because it depends on how things are rolling out on the surface. So they are going to direct the Terran military to begin striking the deep state bunkers or whatever, wherever they are. If they're on the surface, I'm not sure. I almost get the impression that they're really going to be on the surface. So the White Hat Alliance has been given orders to openly strike these deep state enclaves so that the regular Joes, the people on the street, will see it and realize that, because up till now, this war has been fought clandestinely. Your average person doesn't even know what's going on. Your average person doesn't even know or realize that they have been under an extremely dangerous extraterrestrial invasion. Yeah, that has worked with very regressive Terrans to destroy humanity, basically. The Earth humans. Most of them are completely unaware of this. So something has to be done. And they didn't get it. I mean, let's just say we've been subtle all along. You all know watching this. You guys are all involved with disclosure and it's all real. And you're all contactees, abductees, both, right? And you're like, dude, like how much information is out there? Like there's tons of information. It's everywhere. You can't not see this stuff. But you got a bunch of Terrans that just can't process it. But we got to move forward. We have to. It's a matter of the Earth's survival. So they're going to have to get a slap on the face, apparently. That's what they say. So here's our next clip.
You ready to hear what the target is then?
Very much so, yeah.
This is not
just to give you a little, like, shut up, right? So just to give you a little info here with Courtney Brown. So they always set up, if you know, like the classical remote view style, they have a target set and then the remote viewers will try to zero in on the target. So now Courtney's I'm just gonna have him reveal, this is the reveal, the actual target that is answered in this remote view
The
session.
target where I can sort of make a joke. I'll just have to tell you what it is. Has three different points in time: December 2024, January 2025, and February 2025. And the target is the level and type of domestic U.S., United States military engagement within the continental United States. Yeah, that means the U.S. military fighting within the continental United States.
Yeah, and that's the information I was given. That I'm going to say there's probably a split in the military where you have the majority of the military alliance, but then you have some sort of either black military or undercover military, probably your CIA, Pentagon, one of those people, you know who they are. So what's going to happen as he explains here, which is what I think is going, which is what I've been told, is that the white hat military, again, where my husband works for them, in the Air Force, the white hat military is going to begin strategic open attacks on the deep state.
There was a domestic attack from one branch of the military to another.
Yeah. You're saying that they might try to blame it on terrorism, like Iran or something.
Terrorism, or just some radical political affiliation, or just to say it was a lone person who just let off a bomb, even though it was a projectile from someplace else.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, so again, and they're going to mention it's something like all the scalar weapons that were used for Lahaina, Paradise, the way they direct the weather, all that kind of stuff. That the media, your I call it the mafia media, will try to sort of look over here kind of thing, or openly smoke and mirrors and lie and say, oh yeah, it's a forest fire. Oh yeah, it's this, that. So the media will more than likely try to turn this into something different. Because the media is the one of the arms of the deep state. So it'll be curious to see how this plays out, and how they can take control, how the white hats can take control and redirect the narrative, because your average Joe isn't getting it.
We don't have any. I have here domestic military engagement, but it doesn't say who they're fighting. So it technically could be an engagement domestically from abroad.
That could also be the case, but it's you never know. It's like the point is, I think the lowest level interpretation of this is within the time span that you have mentioned, there might be an energetics explosion of some sort within the continental United States.
I mean, heck, it could be North Korea shooting. We've been told from our ET friends, this whole period of time is designed to collapse the information control system.
And he just mentions there the same information I have is that so the extraterrestrial contacts that the Farsight Institute work with said a very similar thing, not only during the election, but also now from what my contacts are saying, and particularly Ika, of course. And yeah, the ETs are just, and they've been for a while. They're just really fed up. They're like, God, what do everything they've tried hasn't it's just not landing. You had your open contact with the Venusians, the Howard Menger time, George Van Tassel, think about things in the 60s, 70s, and Billy Meyer and the eight, keep going on, where they actually were landing ships. They tried that, right? You had the Vrillon transmission over the TV, warning Earth people that you guys are going to die. You're not going to make it. The way you're headed. And every single time the psyops were just, oh my God, and people didn't believe it. They just didn't believe it. So it's like, and then the extraterrestrials started switching over to what we're used to now, which is the more subtle contact, because the open contact wasn't really cutting it either. So they're doing a more subtle contact. They're rolling out more open contact now, but your average person isn't looking up at the sky, so they're not actually going to see the ships. It's like, so it's just it's so frustrating trying to smack sense into people, and the ETs have really kind of are at their wits' end at this point, and they're going to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, we're going to do something. It's just going to hit the fan now. We're going to really, you know, have to screw with these people because they're so freaking stupid. So I guess, and that's what Courtney's saying here. He says, what was just remote viewed lines right up with what the ET says are going to happen.
So forced disclosure. This seems big enough to break down the censorship.
I, I just so I can continue being the devil's advocate. I saw not too long ago, a couple years ago, Nashville had this bombing explosion that happened, and I saw quite. Now I don't know the truth about what happened in Nashville, but I do know that there were quite a few people who said that they had. I saw some videos of people using like maybe infrared cameras or something or another, and they were able to say that, look, this is a directed energy weapon that struck Nashville. And same thing with Hawaii. People were saying that the fires in Hawaii were started by directed energy weapons. Before that, there was the same thing with Paradise, California. So the idea of energetics exploding into an urban environment, that is a surprising thing. However, the reaction that I would expect from the powers that be to help quell and manipulate and maintain the status quo in the public would be to say stuff that's not admitting that this is a projectile or directed energy weapon, or at the very least, they would say they would do everything they could to prevent people from thinking this was an internal attack akin to some sort of civil war. So
you can be guaranteed that the powers that be are going to do everything they possibly can to squash this.
yeah,
Segue out into our other projects at Farsight where we deal with our extraterrestrial friends. We've been told point blank that the crises that we're going to be facing both domestically and internationally are designed to completely crash the information control system. So that while there is a tremendous amount of...
And then he reiterates again what they had remote viewed, and actually they have an ED conference where usually one or two extraterrestrial officers will interact with them and telepath with them and try to describe what's going to have to happen. So in order to, like I said, get this show on the road. So the plan that was revealed here to them was that there's going to be, they're going to foment a bunch of unrest across the globe. Again, I mean, COVID was part of this program. COVID was supposed to shake people up, and it did. It certainly worked to shake up a few people. But everybody went back to normal. As you all know, after COVID, everybody went back to normal, went back to their little jobs, hiding in their cellars, yada, 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 whatever. And geez, it's like, come on, people, let's keep the ball rolling. Don't just go back to, being a slave. And they just right back to slavery. And now, yeah, I think it's going to be rock and roll.
Censorship. It'd be hard to censor this. And I think that's what our side of the ETs want. They want something that can't be censored.
Just to recap, there's this techie-filled room with subjects. All the subjects in this room feel very focused, very dialed in. And I get this puppetry sense, and there's massive distance between another location, also with some technology, and they're puppeting this other location, and that other location has this visual of the rocketing off of non-surface objects, and those non-surface objects running into flying down.
So they're remote viewing quite a few military bases across the country where it looked like there was some, as he says, puppeting. So it looked like they were talking about and preparing something.
Into other locations that are full of structures, urban areas, basically, and then massive energetics pluming out of those areas. And there is a big distance between those two environments, but not as big of a distance as it is between the environment where these uniformed subjects are in this techie-filled environment and the other technology-filled places that they're puppeting.
So, and just to kind of wrap things up, and we'll say good evening, everyone. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of bases that have these command centers with quite a bit heavy technology and this extraterrestrial technology. They're working with extraterrestrials in order to get this show on the road. So, yeah, the thing is, see what you're getting for information, see what your friends are getting for information. look at the Farsight, look at some other people you watch. Again, I always say use your discernment in any group that doesn't say like the Farsight always does. We're not sure. This is a possibility. Just so you know, if it rolls out, it rolls out, right? It's a timeline. It's a possibility. So, um, this is not a parlor. I always tell people, telepathy and remote viewing aren't parlor tricks. They're not something that you do like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. These are skill sets, and you all have the skill sets. You just have to kind of focus on them a little bit, practice and get better at them. So use the information the feelings you're getting, the information you're getting, what resonates with you. And again, share it with us in the comments so we can we need to get all of our information together and see what seems a likely scenario. Scenarios, like I said, can change, especially the way things are going now. It's just like during the election, it was just really, shaken, shaken, shaken. You really couldn't tell where the timelines were going to pop in, what was going to happen, how things were going to fix. Were they going to be successful in their missions? And they were successful in their missions, right? So it's just hard to say. Like I said, and that's everybody says. It's just, the mission during the elections was to prevent fraud, not to interfere with the elections, but just to prevent election fraud. That's what happened, right? So the same thing here. Hard to say, right? What's going to happen, but definitely something has to rock and roll because we can't keep going like this. People on the street need to understand just how much danger they're in. They gotta pull their heads out of their arses. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is, I don't understand these Terrans. I don't understand why they don't see reality. I don't understand why their brains don't process information properly. And I don't understand why they worship celebrities, experts, government officials, authority. I don't understand this. So all we can do is do what we're doing. Try to slowly but surely plant seeds, get them to think for themselves, really focus on stopping them from celebrity worshiping, from worshiping anything. It's just becoming a real problem for them, and get them to stand on their own 2 feet and to trust themselves. So with that, I'm going to leave you for this evening, and I'm looking forward to the comments, see what people feel about this. I'll put a link in the descriptions to the Farsight full remote view session so you guys can watch that. And I recommend going back and watching a lot of their ET conference meetings as well. They're very interesting and certainly intriguing for sure. So cheers, guys.
Anyway, I continue with the collective deep mind probe, and I start to perceive these visuals of mountainous terrain, sort of kind of looks like a compound, but I'm getting the sense of this non-surface object rising out of an artificial base surface through these opening doors. These subjects are on the attack.